After 13 years, James Cameron returns to the big screen with Avatar, The Way of Water. We have the next Sam Mendes film, Empire of Light. Guillermo del Toro is coming around the corner with a stop-motion animated feature, Pinocchio. Finally, the new releases we'll be talking about. Will Smith stars in Emancipation. That's this week on the King's Corner. What's up, guys? You have to forgive me. I am suffering from a sinus cold. I think a lot of us probably are. It's that time of the year. But today, first, we're going to be talking about the return of the King. James Cameron returns with Avatar, The Way of Water, 13 years after his blockbuster hit success, the 2009 film Avatar, which I have a full review for the channel up now. This is a non-spoiler review. You don't have to worry about any spoilers about anything in the film that you think could be given away. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the movie. And guess what? Was it worth the wait? Was this film worth 13 years? I think absolutely, and I think a lot of people will say absolutely. This film will leave you wet as a washcloth. This movie is so immersive. The 3D, I saw this in a Cinemark XD 3D. The sound, the picture. I was surprised that it was in an IMAX ratio. That was fantastic. I mean, it just blows your socks off what they're able to do. This is the best film I've ever seen in my life visually. The sound design, I think, is going to be very hard to beat at the Academy Awards. The cinematography, this film is made by masters. Weta Studios is the studio behind the visual effects of the film. No other film looks as good as this Avatar film. And the previous Avatar film, it looks just as good and better. The world of Pandora opens up as Jake and Neytiri, now with a newfound family, they're going to leave. As a new threat emerges, or maybe a familiar threat emerges, the responsible thing to do, and the choice that Jake Sully makes, is let's find another civilization to live and to hide out and save our people. And we find the Water Clan. We're not too sure what the name of their civilization was. There was a lot of crazy names in the film that I don't quite remember. But in fact, we need to now learn the way of water to be able to survive with the new water civilization. All the new characters in this movie are riveting. I mean, the whole family, the kids, the movie focuses on the kids quite a bit. You think, maybe they'll focus on Jake or Neytiri most. They don't. I think that the focus is on these kids, and it doesn't feel like a bad thing. They totally fit into this world, and all the actors, and the way Cameron writes them is just really powerful and really likable. Some of his dialogue, as always, is a bit questionable. But I mean, overall, the story that he's crafted for this movie and the way that the characters bob and weave through it is, a mastercraft. And, Cameron, when he's writing and directing, I mean, you know that this is going to be something special. I think the instrumental score isn't as good as James Horner's score for the first movie. I think that his music was just something special. James Horner's passed away, unfortunately, but the score for this, I mean, you hear the Avatar theme that he created a lot. There's some more James Horner music used in it, but that's the best musical beats of the film. The rest of the music, it's there to just amp the action. All the emotional music is from the original movie. So the score, I think, is okay. But the effects, I mean, the movie doesn't just rely on its visual merits. I think the story is just as good. And does it set up for the future films? Absolutely, it sets up for the future films, but not in a way where you're like, oh, well, that felt like just like a setup movie. Absolutely not. This feels like its own thing, and it stands on its own completely. It is a very long film. I didn't take a single bathroom break. I am very proud of myself about that. It is extremely immersive, and do I recommend it? Absolutely, I recommend it. Avatar, The Way of Water. Other than some spoilery questions that I might have of some of the origins of some of the characters, other than that, which I can't talk to you guys about right now, we'll leave that for a spoiler video. But other than that stuff, this is a terrific film. And this is a 4.5 out of 5-star movie, and a huge thumbs up. And I highly recommend Avatar: The Way of Water. Next, we're going to talk about Sam Mendes' new film, Empire of Light, starring Olivia Colman. Is it based off of a stage play? Everything seems to be adapted from something nowadays. I don't know. I don't think so. But you never know. This is the story of Olivia Colman's character, who is at a point in her life where she's just ready to crack. And she's on the edge. And any small references to her past will completely throw her over the edge. She should stay away from sandcastles. Uh, she is very destructive towards them. If you've seen the film and you know what scene I'm talking about, but she runs into characters in the film that maybe help her discover how to truly enjoy life. Maybe just kind of relax. Michael Ward is that character. He plays Stephen in the film, and I think that their relationship is quite scandalous. It's an interesting relationship, and by the time you leave the film, you say, was it a sweet relationship, or was it just like what kind of relationship was this? I think the message is that you can be friends with whoever you want, and anybody out there can show you that there's a little bit of light in the world. But some of just the things that they get into is a little, like I said, scandalous. Colin Firth plays another scandalous character. He's the manager of the theater that she works at, and he's great, but he's doing some questionable things in the film as well. Toby Jones is the projectionist, who's also got a really sweet little supporting role. Everybody's fine in the film. The movie itself is kind of forgettable. It's kind of dull. It drags a bit. For a film that's a little under 2 hours, it feels like it's a little over 2 hours. Sam Mendes, following his Oscar-winning film 1917, coming out with this, was just, he really wanted to just pump the brakes. And he did. The direction is fine, but you can tell that I don't think he was going to try to win anything in this movie. Olivia Colman's always fantastic. She'll probably be a shoo-in for a lead actress nomination. But other than that, the film is pretty forgettable, and I didn't think I liked it, or I didn't think I disliked it either. I'm very indifferent to it. Empire of Light is a 3 out of 5-star film for me, and I moderately recommend it. There's a lot of other better films that you could watch in theaters right now or on streaming. Now let's move into a film directed by Guillermo del Toro. It's Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. This is the second Pinocchio film to come out in 2022, the first being released by Disney. It was the live-action remake of the animated feature film, Disney's second animated feature film, or was it Disney's third animated feature film? Second might have been Fantasia, somewhere around there. But regardless, this is Guillermo del Toro's take, and it's not his remake of that film, but of the Pinocchio stories. So we don't have characters named Monstro, Stromboli, or Honest John in this film. We have a Sebastian J. Cricket, where we could imagine it's Jiminy Cricket, played by Ewan McGregor. We have Ron Perlman in the film, Finn Wolfhard, Tilda Swinton, Kate Blanchett. We have David Bradley, who is Mr. Filch. Mr. Filch in the Harry Potter films. He was spectacular in this film. He gives the heart, he gives the warmth that you would never have seen from a character like that he played in the Harry Potter series. This movie is just as good as all the awards circuits and people say that it is. This is an incredible animated film. The stop motion here is terrific. This might be one of the best stop motion films I've ever seen, right up there with The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think that the story of Pinocchio is very important. The story and themes of life and death and childhood are handled so maturely in this film that I think any adult can watch the last 10 minutes of this movie and be choking up. I think that it gets really powerful. This is an extremely powerful film. It's an entertaining film. It takes the story that you know, and it puts a twist on its head. We get a little more action in the film. Finn Wolfhard plays a character named Candlewick that Pinocchio comes in contact with later on in the film. And he's great in the movie. Everybody's great. I thought that the musical numbers were really fun. I think that the song Ciao Papa that's been getting nominations, Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, whatever the case may be. I think it's a great song. I think all the songs are really good. My least favorite song of the film is probably the one that's sung over the credits by Sebastian J. Cricket. But the film itself, this is a powerhouse of a film where Guillermo del Toro proves yet again that he is one of the best working directors out there. And this film took, I can't imagine how many years to make with the stop motion. I think they said they got 3 seconds a week or something like that. So the patience that one needs to make a movie like this is really, really outstanding. The studio Leica does so well, but this film it just stands on its own two legs, and it is the superior Pinocchio film of the year, and it's one of the best Pinocchio films ever made. It ranks right up there with that Disney animated film. That's a complete classic. Is it as good as that? I don't even know if I'd put it on the same category, but it has an emotional heart to it, and it has a soul. And this is a 5 out of 5 film. If you haven't seen it and you said, oh, another Pinocchio movie, I saw the Tom Hanks film, didn't really like it, I don't think I could go through that again. Trust me, it is completely worth it. This is a great film that I recommend to anyone. Next up, we're going to talk about Antoine Fuqua's new film, Emancipation. This is directed by, as I said, Antoine Fuqua, and stars Will Smith. Now, I can imagine that the film was shot before the infamous slap that took place at the Academy Awards. He was banned, basically, from the Oscars, so I don't know if he was to receive a nomination, how that it would even work. But it seems that might not even be a problem at all, because Will Smith's performance in the film hasn't been nominated anywhere yet. Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, hasn't been nominated anywhere yet, so don't know if that's going to happen, but it is a good performance. Do I think that this is one of the best performances of the year? I think it's close. I think this is right up there with a Christian Bale performance in the film Amsterdam, which also hasn't been getting any awards nominations. He's really good in the film, and he's the best part about the movie. He carries the movie, because without him, I think this could have been a very weak and boring and dull picture. I think the color palette is extremely dull. There's not a lot of life to the movie. I don't think there's supposed to be with the subject matter. But, I mean, with the cinematography and the production design, it feels very flashy. The movie feels very in your face. It pops at you. The camera flows around in ways that are very overproduced. And didn't really care for the extended shots. Does it look nice? Sure. But I think they were really trying to be like, oh, we're going to show off and just get all our nominations. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think the film does feel very showy, and it doesn't play to its favor. Will Smith is good. I think the direction by Antoine Fuqua is fine. But the screenplay, I just think it's kind of dull. I think not enough of it happens in the movie. I think the story is powerful, but if it was handled by, I don't know, maybe different screenwriters, maybe if the direction was a little better, I think the film would have been a lot better. You get the character, the supporting character in this, Ben Foster. He's in this, and he plays sort of the bad guy. And you think, okay, they're setting up this internal turmoil between Will Smith and the Ben Foster character, but it really goes nowhere. And it just abruptly ends in your face. And you say, okay, well, I guess that's what they did with that character. And then he goes off and he does a couple other things, and the film ends. This is a film that would go in the probably the watch pile along with films like Lincoln and 12 Years a Slave. The subject matter is very, very, very similar. It's like an unofficial trilogy, with this being the weakest film in that bunch. And I just don't think it has a rewatchability. A film like Schindler's List, which is made with a lot more care and passion, and it isn't flashy. So many things about that film play to its strengths. I have a review up for it on the channel now. That's in the Steven Spielberg playlist we have. But, this film, though, I think is the weakest of those three that I did mention. It's not one of the best films of the year. It's actually not that great. Like I said, I think it's still kind of dull. Even with that Will Smith performance, he can't save the film for just being a little underwhelming. So, look, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I can't recommend Emancipation. You can't just watch it hoping for a good Will Smith performance, because there's really nothing else that the movie is going to do for you. It didn't do for me. And finally, a little 4K Blu-ray roundup for you guys. The new releases of the week that I was able to pick up, that I was interested to pick up, which was most of the titles. The Woman King, a film that I believe was on the AFI Top 10 list of 2022. This got Viola Davis a Golden Globe nomination, got her a Critics' Choice nomination. I think that it will soar her to an Oscar nomination. She is very good in this film, very powerful, and she is indeed the Woman King. Just came in the mail, so I hope the 4K Blu-ray is really good, because the film itself is one of the stronger films of 2022, visually and emotionally, I would say. There's a lot going on in it that I did really enjoy. Next is one of the scariest films of the year. It's Smile. It's very creepy scenes, very creepy imagery, but the end of the film is what disappoints me the most. The film should have ended about 5-10 minutes before it actually did. You think, wow, what a satisfying ending that was, until you realize that it was a cop-out, and they went in a cliched ending. Didn't care for the last bit of the film. But overall, it's fun, and it's an entertaining watch that I think is one of the better horror thrillers that released recently. Next up, a film that only released on Blu-ray, not a 4K. It's Ticket to Paradise, starring George Clooney. Julia Roberts was shut out of the Golden Globes. I thought this was surely going to get nominated for Best Picture, musical or comedy. George Clooney and Julia Roberts as the best actors in the musical or comedy. This just seems like their type of film, but they decided to go for the performances in The Menu over this. This is certainly a better film than The Menu, even though the performances in that movie, I think, probably are stronger than Clooney's and Roberts. Next three are the Steelbook releases from the Scream Factory, Shout Factory. First, we have Carrie, a film that I previewed on 4K Blu-ray today, and I think it looks really good. It's cleaned up. The picture is very good. It's not one of the best discs of the year, but it's probably the best that you're going to see the film, with a beautiful steelbook and a 3-disc set. You get the 4K disc, the disc 2 Blu-ray feature film, and the disc 3, the special features. Sissy Spacek is terrifying in this film, and she is very good. Not as over the top as maybe the Chloe Grace Moretz film was. This is definitely superior to that. Leica has now released 2 of their films, their first films on 4K Blu-ray, starting with Coraline. This is one of the best animated films of the best last 20 years. I think that it's very good. If Up wasn't nominated for the Oscar that year, look, 2009 was a great film for animation. You had the Fantastic Mr. Fox, I believe, up as well, the Wes Anderson picture that this was up against. So, I mean, it had a competition, but I think Coraline could have snuck the win if Disney Pixar's Up hadn't been involved. This is a 2-disc set 4K Blu-ray and a Blu-ray. Very nice 4K Blu-ray. This is the best the film's going to look. The sound, the picture. Was able to preview this today, and boy, am I happy that I upgraded to this beautiful 4K Steelbook. And finally, we have Paranorman, a film I haven't seen. This is the only Leica film I haven't seen. I've seen Coraline, Kubo. After Paranorman, Kubo came out, I believe. Or maybe it was the Box Trolls, then Kubo. But I saw Box Trolls, I saw Kubo, and Missing Link. So this is the only one I haven't seen. This is my first time owning it, and now on 4K Blu-ray. And if it looks as good as the Coraline disc that did, I'm going to be very happy about that. You get a 4K Blu-ray, and a Blu-ray inside, and a nice little booklet as well. So that concludes our 4K Blu-ray roundup for the week. And with that, we are finished with another episode of The King's Corner. Did you see any of these films? What did you think about any of them? Leave that down below in the comment section. What is the best film out of the bunch? Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at RyanKing72 and Instagram and TikTok at KingArises131. And you can also subscribe to the channel for a whole bunch more content coming in the future. More episodes of The King's Corner and our weekly live show. Guys, that's been it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Over and out.